So Mortal Kombat 1 has been out for Nintendo Switch for a little bit now, and already a lot of people are genuinely not happy with this game. And it's very unfortunate because I was personally looking forward to actually playing a new fighter game on the Nintendo Switch. Now, personally, I actually do enjoy the Mortal Kombat franchise. Mortal Kombat is definitely a great fighter game, but unfortunately, due to the newest one, Mortal Kombat 1 for the Nintendo Switch, it has been received very, very negatively. Now, of course, the internet was quick to react by just making fun of Mortal Kombat 1 and just pointing out all the problems that it has, the bugs, the glitches, the graphics, more importantly, and the fact that it costs $70 on the Switch, and I'll talk about that later in the video. But people are just already memeing on this game, just making memes, making fun of the game, just how pointing out how terrible it is and all the problems, especially when it comes to graphics and everything. Now, of course, the Nintendo Switch, it's not that powerful, and a good portion of people are comparing Mortal Kombat from the PlayStation and Xbox to the Nintendo Switch, just pointing out like the major differences and just how crappy it really looks, honestly. Now, I get it, the Switch is not that high powered of a console. It's obviously underpowered if we compare this to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S, which I think is the name of the next gen Xbox consoles, X and S, I think. But more importantly, the Nintendo Switch, it's just starting to really show its age, and it's just starting to become more of a challenge as time goes on. And I remember talking about how tough it is for porting games on the Nintendo Switch in my Borderlands video, and was trying to explain as best I could on how it's starting to become more of a challenge just porting games onto the Nintendo Switch. And Borderlands 3 is going to be quite the challenge for when that game comes out. And if Mortal Kombat is looking pretty rough, then we can only imagine just how bad Borderlands 3 is going to look on the Switch, and it's only going to make me worry even more. Now, of course, the developers that work on Mortal Kombat, NetherRealms, they do have experience working with Mortal Kombat games, obviously, and unfortunately for the Switch, it just seems like this has just been a complete miss on the mark. It just seemed like the shot that they took just whizzed right by the target, and it only landed into a pile of quicksand, and it just seems like already the good name and the good reputation of Mortal Kombat 1 on Nintendo Switch at least is not looking too good. Now, of course, I do want to show you a little bit of what it looks like on the Nintendo Switch, and I gotta say, it definitely looks pretty ugly. I'm not gonna lie. So, discretion is advised. If the graphics look too terrible, I advise you either skip ahead or avert your eyes for the next 10 seconds. So, this is what it looks like. Oh, goodness gracious. This looks pretty bad. This is something that we would see if we were playing on like a PS2 back in the day. And it gets worse than that. Just look at this face. Like, look at how low textured it is. What's happening with the eyebrows? What's up with the hair? What's up with the whole face model in general? Like, dear God! Now, it's funny that I bring this up because I don't know if some of you folks remember this, but for those of you who stuck around the channel for a while, some of you may remember I made several videos talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I just been just slamming Game Freak for how bad that game was. And just as a reminder, let me just make a little comparison of what that game still looks like on the Switch. Like, oh dear God, does anybody remember this abomination? Or what about this? What about this new bug? Like, what the heck is that? Is that supposed to be a Pokemon? Is that supposed to be a character? A Pokemon trainer? Like, what the heck is that? Is that like a new DLC mask for The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask? Like, that just looks ugly as hell. Oh dear God. If I ever was a parent and I saw a video game that had these kind of technical issues, and if I ever had a kid, I would make sure to keep my child as far away as possible from these horror shows as long as humanly possible because the games just look that terrible in terms of graphics. I would be absolutely shocked of just how awful the stuff looks if I ever saw my kid playing it. Now, of course, we do get a handful of good Switch games every once in a blue moon, and they actually do look pretty damn impressive. Like, take a look at this screenshot, for example. This is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on the Nintendo Switch. This is a game that came out last year, and it is one of the best JRPGs, if not one of the best RPGs I have played in a long time. It's definitely a great game on the Nintendo Switch. And you're telling me that the Nintendo Switch can't at least looks a little bit better than what we currently have for Mortal Kombat or Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But more importantly, you're telling me that Mortal Kombat can't look mostly decent at best? That's just terrible. And I would feel awful if anybody bought this game. And trust me, I have a bit to say on this part as well. $70 for Mortal Kombat on the Nintendo Switch, it's beyond criminal. Now keep this in mind. The game industry is charging $70 now for video games going forward, as if they're like premium prices. Now, if this was on like an Xbox Series X or S or a PlayStation 5, that would be understandable. But on the Nintendo Switch, which is starting to get a little bit outdated and starting to show its aging software, and they're charging $70 on like a last gen console, that's beyond criminal at that point. And I would be furious if I got a game for $70 and it looked this bad. So, to wrap this whole video up, don't buy Mortal Kombat on the Nintendo Switch. It's just gonna be an absolute nightmare. If you're gonna get Mortal Kombat 1 on at all, I would either recommend that you wait for a sale, or the better option, get it on an Xbox or a PlayStation or a PC if it ever gets a PC port. Just don't get this game on the Nintendo Switch. It's a complete travesty. So, with that being said, thank you everyone for watching and for listening. And until next time, I'm avoiding Mortal Kombat 1 on the Nintendo Switch. And I'll see you all later.